neighbors. Welcome back to your friendly neighborhood comic show. And of course, welcome back to Nerdy Neighborhood. I did it backwards today, but don't worry about it. So I wanted to share this other long clip from my interview recently with Tony James of Star Noir. He's a huge DC fan, and I know there's so much discourse going on about DC, especially in film and TV. And he really wanted to talk about it when we interviewed, which was so fun for me. But I wanted to make sure I still share that content with you all. I'd love to hear your thoughts, of course, on DC film and TV. I know we stick to comics so much, but DC is comics, right? So please enjoy this additional interview content with Tony James of Star Noir, where we talk about DC film and TV.
I also want to get your thoughts on the DC.
The DC stuff, like the film and stuff, the new announcements. Yeah, DC stuff. I'm excited for Supergirl Woman tomorrow. I've been saying for a while now that it's Supergirl's time, and people were like, "Ha, whatever." Ta-da! See, now it's sold out everywhere. So I'm really glad I grabbed the trade of that because I had the single issues, and the trade came out. I was like, "Should I?" But I got because of Supergirl, so that's cool. So I'm very excited about that. Supergirl in the Flash looks good. Michael Keaton coming back as Batman, and that looks really great. And Ben Affleck in the blue and gray suit looks great. So I'm excited about that. I don't really care about Aquaman 2. I don't remember the first one, which is fine. I have nothing against it. I just don't remember it. Shazam 2, I'm excited for, as long as Zachary Levi can not say dumb shit on Twitter and I don't have to know about it. Then I'm great. Yeah. What about you?
I'm optimistic. I really don't know what we're getting into with the James Gunn. I don't know if it's like, are you going to are all these characters going to be making pop culture references and have juvenile humor? Because that works for some characters, but I don't know if I want to hear that out of Superman. But I'm hopeful. I think he has the capacity to make crowd pleasers, so I think we're gonna be pretty much okay. I am excited to see the Supergirl. She hasn't really had a good movie. I mean, there was one in the 90s, but that wasn't the greatest.
None of them in the 90s were any of the superhero stuff. Marvel, DC, it didn't matter. It was all terrible.
But yeah, and it'll be interesting because I never really watched the CW stuff, but I did watch, like, my girlfriend, and she watched all of it, so I would always catch a random episode, and I thought that version of Supergirl it was really fun, very charming, very, very quirky. So it's just somebody on the show called her a jerk, and she was just so caught off by it, and she's like, "Well, you're the jerk face." And it was very charming the way she delivered the line. So I'm hoping that this movie version of Kara is not only the edgy stuff, but also brings some of that charm, that quirk, because I think that's what we kind of like out of our Kryptonians, for them to be a little naive optimists.
No, I absolutely love that, and I completely agree on that. That's one thing that I really loved about Supergirl's character on the CW show, and Kara's a character that really kind of made me fall in love with her as a character, is that she can be really tough and badass, and she will beat you to smithereens. So we're type of people she cares about, right? But she's also super bashful. Like, somebody calls her hot when she's not in her Supergirl outfit, or when she doesn't expect it, and she will blush. And you're like, what? Why are, similar with Clark. A random woman calls him hot, and he's like, I don't know what to do with that. So you're absolutely right. That's a great point. I don't know, though. I don't know if we'll get to see much charm, innocent charm, I guess, from her in this version in the Flash film. I would like to see it, but that's definitely not the impression I've gotten. So,
she looks like she's been locked up for a bit, so I don't know if think she's particularly happy.
She definitely isn't, and she definitely isn't happy. So I think, if anything, as long as she's well received in this film, which, as long as she's given a good script, I think she will be. That we'll hopefully get to see more of a character flesh out after this one, because this is just her beginning. This isn't even her film. She's we know a Supergirl Woman Tomorrow film's coming. We don't know if it'll be her or not. But yeah, so there's a lot going out there. I'm just excited to see other characters get a chance to shine. And with James Gunn, I'm excited that he's not writing everything, because if he was somehow in charge of everything and writing everything, it would be, like you said, like everybody with the pop culture references and juvenile humor. And that's not going to work for the Supergirl Woman Tomorrow film, because that book is very gritty. It is completely different. So I don't even think he should be touching that. I think somebody else should be writing that entirely. But if he does a great job, awesome. So yeah, I'm excited for the spotlight on other characters. Hopefully he continues to give spotlight to other writers and directors. So yeah, DC, I am a lot more optimistic about DC than I was like a couple months ago. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm a Batman fan, and he said in his video, I'm not touching the Batman 2, I'm not touching Joker. Yep. So I'm like, all right, well, we're good here. I hope everybody else gets what they want, because he just said I'm not touching any of the. So yeah, I don't want him to touch what Matt Reeves is doing, or the Joaquin Phoenix Joker. I think those are very good, and I like that they're not being forced into a central canon, so they can go off and do their own thing.
Yeah,
that's what I like about the Elseworlds, that approach that they're going with. That I think they have, it gives them a little edge over Marvel, where it's like, oh well, we can do our offshoot stories and have like original takes on these characters that don't have to like be follow a certain pattern or certain check boxes to make sure that the overall continuity is consistent.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I've said this on any other podcast I've been on or whatever, if I've said publicly, but that's one thing I've been very strong-willed about with DC and film and TV, is that they need to do the opposite of what Marvel's doing, essentially. It's not that things can't connect, but you can't try to copy Marvel. Clearly that hasn't worked, and it's not going to, and it shouldn't. DC should focus on building their characters, doing individual stories for a while, like the first 5 or 10 years. Like, I would honestly say the first 10 years. And that means that you do single stories within canon, and then you also allow single stories in Elseworlds, because people are going to go to these films and invest in the characters and the stories, and that's all they want. So people that have, in particular, that have Marvel burnout are going to flock to those, because they're like, thank God it doesn't all have to connect. Thank you. And then other people that also love Marvel are still going to flock here, because what a lot of people I don't think understand is that so many people just like superhero movies. That's it. Yeah. They just like them. They don't care if it's DC or Marvel. There's no one is better than the other. They just want good stories. And DC proved that when Wonder Woman did really well. The Batman has done well, is continuing even with this big haul over. So yeah, they just need to tell good stories and build characters up and have some fun for a bit, whether that's with darker stories and or funny stories. There's room for both. So yeah. I have good feelings.
I think what we kind of learned over the last few years of the cinematic DC stuff is that there was just too much studio meddling. People, creatives wanted to go in one direction, the studio heads wanted to go in another direction, and then the studio heads would change, and then it just became a lot of chaos. And then you would only get like certain films were good, but then you'd have to see like the director's cut to get the better version because all the studio meddling was removed from it. So it's nice that they're gonna try to be more focused this time.
Hopefully. Yeah, and it definitely helps having a writer and a director in charge of everything. That said, I'm still cautiously optimistic about Gunn, because again, who knows if he's ever going to take too much creative control or not, and end up doing the same thing studio execs do. I think that's one thing that people don't realize, is that you can put these other people that you think will do better than studio execs, and then within 5 to 10 years, they turn into exactly what they hated and what we hated. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen. And it seems like things are in good form, especially with the fact that Tom King is going to help do the Supergirl Woman Tomorrow movie, for example. And apparently they're really great friends, I guess, which is cool, which is probably how the movie is getting made in the first place, which I'm thankful for. Like, I'll take it. I'm not going to complain. But yeah, so I hope to see more things like that, where comic creators get to be more involved, right? They're not going to have all the final say, and everything's not going to be comic accurate. But I think that's going to make a difference for DC too.
I just hope that all the fans of the various superheroes, that they get a version of their characters that they were hoping for, especially like Supergirl, not having like a great cinematic movie, getting that opportunity. I mean, they're also doing like the Green Lantern detective, and I was like, wow. I mean, you talk about another character that has not had great live action adaptations. It's like, I think Green Lantern. I think this one has to be great. Like, it just has to.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I like the Jon Stewart's there with Hal Jordan as well. Yeah. And then I think there's like Green Arrow and Black Canary show possibly. I hope if I'm remembering that correctly, I hope they keep Journey Smollett for Black Canary for that. I think they are already supposed to make a show with her, so maybe this is taking that place. I don't know.
She was in the Birds of Prey. That
Yeah.
movie? Okay. Oh, I love that movie. That was really funny.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite DC films. So I hope they keep her for that still. And then I hope we get a more comic accurate Green Arrow of Oliver Queen, because listen, the Arrowverse gave me a lot of great stuff. I'm thankful for it, but that's not Oliver Queen. That is ripoff Batman. I don't want him. I want the charming, witty, goofy, ridiculous billionaire that somehow lands, because he's also amazing, this really sexy woman, Black Canary, and they're just like ridiculous. Like they're ridiculously in love all the time while they kick ass. Like even when they do fight, because like they're not perfect, and but they're such a great couple, and they're also so great individually. So I have high hopes for that as well. Just don't let it be another Arrowverse. I can't. No, don't do that.
I think the era of Berlanti, it's come and gone. I think we had it.
Yeah.
He had a great run for like 10 years.
Yeah, which is both a good thing and still a sad thing. But overall, I think, I mean, the universe just died. That was another frustrating thing. They were like, look, we made a Justice League for the Arrowverse. And then within a year, the CW's like, suddenly we don't want the Arrowverse anymore. Kill it with fire. Burn it all. And it was like, why did you even do this?
What I loved at its peak is that like people who didn't read comics like knew these like deep cuts. Like my girlfriend knew who Gorilla Grodd was and Reverse Flash, and you're like, well, how do you know who these characters are? And it's because the CW kind of sort of bridged the gap to them.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like I know characters I would have never known if I hadn't watched those shows. Like I loved Supergirl before I watched the CW Supergirl. I'll be honest with you. Like, it's not like I read the comics 10 years ago and thought she was amazing. And, that shows the reason I found that character, which is fantastic. So, people can say what they want about the Arrowverse. It definitely had its issues, and they were definitely CW shows at times, but it was pretty remarkable what they did. Like,
I was pointing out to my girlfriend because we watched that new Berlanti show on Netflix, and it has a lot of the tropes that he had in the CW. And the one thing I keep noticing, it's like all these characters at some point, they got to go to like a party or a gala event somewhere where there's other people to have conversations with. Like it's like a staple of these shows. This is funny that everyone's going to a party.
Yep. Yeah, it is interesting. And Berlanti's still continuing stuff with WBD, I think, in DC. I can't remember what it is, but I think there's still stuff he's working on. So interested to see what he does. I mean, I don't think he's going to create another empire anytime soon. I think Gunn is the one that's focused on making an empire, and Berlanti's just still making stuff to keep making money and keep making,
Yeah, I hope they don't let go of the TV stuff though, because I thought that was their strong area. Which when you kind of compare the Berlanti CW stuff with the Marvel TV stuff, like I think the CW was way stronger.
Yeah, I would agree.
It just felt like those characters were more comic accurate.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't know. Nothing can compare to like, so one of my favorite crossovers for the Arrowverse was Crisis on Earth X. That's probably my favorite crossover, like the big ones. And it was just so cool. Like those shots where you see them all lined up, getting ready to like beat Nazis up, and it's nothing beats that feeling. You're like, oh my God, they're all on the screen. It's like a small like TV network, a public TV network, right? You don't pay for CW. We don't have cable here, and I can watch it on my TV with an antenna. Somehow managed to make me feel just like Avengers Endgame did, if not more. And they did that multiple times. Endgame was one time. So as great as the MCU is, and as much as they have achieved, and rightfully so, this little network and these shows, like, so yeah, I'm definitely gonna miss that, and I would love to get to a point where we can see stuff kind of like that again, but not everything needs to connect. I mean, it can be its own thing, and I agree. I think the TV stuff is where they shine. I think DC and Star Wars, I think they both shine in television more than film lately.
Yeah, I think so, and I hope I am still alive to see the day that when they establish all these characters, these live action characters in Marvel and DC. They eventually do like a one-time only movie where they kind of mash up.
That would be unbelievable. And I think that's possible. I think if DC can get their stuff together with James Gunn for maybe the next like 10 years, and if Gunn's still around, or if we have another person that is also heading as a creative along with Peter or whoever your new business guy is, I think that would be prime time, because it seems like, Marvel and Kevin Feige, at least publicly, right? We don't know behind closed doors, but publicly they're playing nice. They're like, cool, James Gunn, you're running DC, sounds great. So they're not afraid of competition. I think at some point they'd be more than willing to collaborate, as long as collaborating with the brand isn't a risk. And DC has been a risk brand for years now in film and TV. They have.
Yeah.
And that's one thing people don't realize, is that you can love DC, and rightfully so, but you can't say, why won't Marvel team up with them? Because it's a huge risk. Look what they've done to themselves. They're having to clean it up for the next 10 years,
Yeah, I think DC really has to build themselves up and be more of a stable brand before Daddy Disney will let them play with Marvel.
Yeah, I think that's completely true. And that's not to say Disney or Marvel is right, whatever, they're billionaire jerks too. But yeah, I would love to see it. That'd be amazing. I mean, imagine those theaters. Tickets will sell out. It'll be like a Taylor Swift concert. They'll sell out in 2 minutes.
I mean,
that won't be able.
That was the selling point of Infinity War. I mean, seeing that trailer for the first time, you're like watching all of these characters be on screen together. Watching Star Lord and Tony Stark, have a riff off, but who can be more of a smartass. So yeah, I that's why I say, I hope I'm still alive, because I know that'll be a really long time, but it would be cool to see.
Listen, if I'm in a stupid retirement home or something by the time it comes out, I will be leaving the retirement home to go there. If I have to break out for a night, it will happen. It will be the most glorious night. So if you guys are wondering why there's a creepy 7-year-old lady running in, being like, I finally made it, and I shouldn't be running, but I ran anyway. It's me. It's just me.
I'll be right there with you for sure.
Let's go. I'll pick you up in the bus, Tony. I don't know when I'm gonna get a bus license, and I may not get one, but I will be driving a bus.
Our hover bus then.
Yeah, you remember back when we were all younger, and we were like, we're gonna have hover cars by 2020, and it's 2023.
Yeah, there were sci-fi movies that were in 2020 whatever, and it's that was wrong.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. I mean, but let's be real. If we even had it, nobody could afford them. So what's the point?
No. Only Elon Musk. He's the only person that could afford it.
Swear to God. Listen, I was fine with the stupid Teslas. I was fine with him on stupid SNL. But then he takes over Twitter. Then he regrets it. Then they still make him buy it. God dang it. Why, sir? Why?
It's it's just you buy stuff just to throw it away. I don't know. That's just it seemed to be what they do.
Welcome to America, where we buy stuff and throw it away. So all you households are like, don't waste food, don't waste this. America, sorry.
Oh, but anyway, back to the superheroes, the heroes that we actually like. Yeah, I'm hopeful for DC going forward. And the Swamp Thing show that they're going to try to get. Yes. I saw the clips of the one that they canceled a few years back. That looked cool. So hopefully the new show kind of captures that vision that they were trying to go with the first time.
Yeah, I mean, it's really unfortunate with that show because, so from what I understand about why that show was canceled, it wasn't canceled because of viewership issues or anything like that. It was canceled because they screwed up finances. It was actually filmed, I guess, here in North Carolina where I am, which is really cool, and I had no idea. It would have been fun to be on set for that or something. But they filmed it all, and then they were then they did taxes or something months later, and they were like, crap, we can't do this anymore. So they canceled the show. I don't remember the other details, but yeah, it was basically over filming and money costs, which is the dumbest reason on the planet, because I heard many things kind of like you're saying, where one of my siblings loved that show. They watched the entire first season. They're like, you should watch it. And then once I heard it was canceled, I said, this is why I waited, because they canceled it. I do not want to get invested because it's Swamp Thing, and I love Swamp Thing. So I'm very glad that it seems like Gunn and whoever else is involved really recognize that Swamp Thing is a character that is worth bringing up. And I think it's a great choice for their first horror thing, because that's what he says. Well, he's like, this is going to be horror. So if you're going to do your first horror thing for superhero, Marvel went off the deep end with Werewolf by Night, which I really enjoyed. Because nobody knows that, that was just we're going to pick the, most Halloween-y characters and say, go for it. But they could do that because they already have their brand. DC needs to pick something that's a staple for some and will still be cool to many once they're introduced to him.
Yeah, and it's cool because Swamp Thing. I mean, if you're gonna go with the Alan Moore version, just this monster that's very introspective, just kind of like who am I? What am I? So that'd be interesting to see mixed with like it also being like a horror show.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's gonna be really good. I hope Gunn isn't the one writing it again, because out of all the things I've seen, I haven't seen him do anything horror to my knowledge. So I'm like, that's not your forte. Let somebody else do it, James. Let somebody else do it.
Well, Brightburn was kind of horror. It's sort of like what if young Clark was just profoundly evil from the beginning? That's what Brightburn was.
Yikes. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen that one, but okay. Well, maybe then. I guess maybe he could. I mean, just because somebody hasn't done it doesn't mean they can't do it, right? But
yeah,
I don't know. It'd be really cool. I don't know who I'd want to write that though. That's the thing. I don't know a lot of like TV writers' names off the top of my head to be like, this is who should write Swamp Thing. But I hope they not only reference Swamp Thing material, but they like talk to any creators alive that have done him. Like even if they talked to Rom V with his most recent run he did like a year or two ago, the Swamp Thing, that was fantastic, even though it was with a different a new person being the host essentially. That was phenomenal. I would love if they even just consulted him on it.
Yeah, that would be cool. Do you think in this era where like a Snyder cut is like brought back from the dead because fans keep like pushing for it, that these things that they shot a whole season of, like the Swamp Thing or like the Batgirl movie, do you think they find their way back into the light eventually?
Not anytime soon. As much as I would love it, like that's one, like the biggest thing that makes me not trust anything they do right now still is that they canceled Batgirl, and that they canceled it after it was shot and it was supposed to come out. Like that was the first time, like that was unheard of. Like I have friends that really are into the industry and stuff, and they were astounded by that happened, and like in a bad way, they were shocked. Like, you don't do that. And so ever since that happened, like Netflix and stuff has been following suit. They film things and now they're canceling it when they decide to. So now it's creating a precedent, and I'm really pissed about that. Even beyond just the fact that I want that film released and made and finished.
Yeah.
Now they're the precedent industry. So
what's crazy is that you have all these like streaming services, and that's what seemed reasonable for the Snyder Cut. We're just going to put it on HBO Max, so it's like the people who wanted to see that will get to see it. So I don't really understand why Batgirl can't, in a few years put that on like HBO Max. So it's like, all right, if you were interested in seeing that, like you can go actually watch it now.
Well, but that's the crazy thing. It was an HBO Max film. It was supposed to go to HBO Max. So why would you cancel something that's an HBO Max film? Tell me it's horrible when I'm already like, I didn't expect it to be as good as, say, the first Wonder Woman film. It's an HBO Max film. I have to look at it through a different lens. Like, as a general viewer, I understand that. Like, it's not going to a movie theater. So, especially when you had like Brendan Fraser coming in it and stuff like that just bewilders me. Like it doesn't make sense, and the actors have all said it doesn't make sense. So
Brendan Fraser, especially when he's like having a resurgence in his career, and it's like, right, so he played Firefly in this era where he's just like on the comeback, and we're not gonna see it.
Yeah, so I don't know. But I don't know, maybe James Gunn said it, but don't quote me because I don't remember. But somebody, James Gunn or somebody recent that is up there in DC did say, like, yeah, Batgirl was unwatchable. There's no way we could release it. And I was kind of just like, but again, it's HBO Max. So yeah, because I think even if they've realized they made a mistake, they're gonna be stubborn about it, and they're gonna stand on it and be like, we're the parent. What we said goes. Blah blah. We made no mistake. So maybe in 10 years we'll get it. Like maybe when things are going really, really well and they feel like they're not taking a risk by releasing it, if people are still demanding it or asking for it, then they'll give it to us. But if we shut up about it and in 10 years, then we're never going to get it because there's no demand for it. That's how like Veronica Mars came back because people started wanting it back again. That was insane. I was like, how many years ago? And you're all of a sudden, Veronica Mars is back. Cool. Like,
or maybe when they do, James Gunn talked about another Batman, which is a little confusing. Like, how many Batman are we going to have at one time? But they want to do the Brave and the Bold and do Damian Wayne and start the Bat family. What if Leslie Grace finds her way back through that?
I think she could. Absolutely. I think James Gunn especially would be open to that in terms of, I think as a director and a creative, he really mourns with that group. But being the position he's in, he has to represent the board of directors and Zaslav. You know, these people who made this decision. He's in a really odd position now, right?
Mhm.
So I think if that happened and people demanded it or requested it so much, absolutely. That said, I do kind of like there's an opportunity now for Barbara Gordon as a character to come in as Oracle for the first time. Which I would personally prefer. Nothing against her as Batgirl. Like, that's why I knew when I was younger. But seeing her in a wheelchair still kicking ass and beating people that, you know, are like martial arts fighters and stuff.
You wouldn't want to see her start as Batgirl and then progress to Oracle? Like in one story arc?
No, because then you have to do the Killing Joke. Or you have to change that.
What if she's just paralyzed in a different way? Yeah, what if she's just paralyzed in a different way? You know,
you could change it, but either way, you have to. You're basically deciding the trauma, which again, they could absolutely do, but that's just a really tough subject. I'm not against it, but I would not want to be a person with the challenge of writing that and seeing how everybody reacted, and seeing how it flowed in the film. But absolutely, they could do that. But yeah, I really love her as Oracle, and especially when she's the one that made the Birds of Prey. That was one of my biggest problems with the Birds of Prey film, even though I adore it. I love that film. It wasn't comic accurate at all, which once I take that hat off, okay. But putting the hat back on, it's kind of like, Barbara's the one that put this team together, guys. You couldn't even have the person that brought them all together. Like, it wasn't Harley, wasn't even Black Canary or Huntress or one of the other originals. It was Barbara. So I think there's a new opportunity for Barbara, but at the same time, I think you're right. Like with the Brave and the Bold, I think they are attempting to start the Bat family on the screen again. And yeah, I'd be more than happy to see Leslie take that role. And if anything, if they do cast a Batgirl again, as long as she has it like completely aged out and she's willing to do it, 100% she should do it.
I agree. I'd like to see that, you know. But yeah, as a Batman fan, I'm completely satisfied. So even if the Brave and the Bold happens to be horrible, like it's like, well, there's good Batman still. You know, we still have the Matt Reeves Batman.
See, that's the thing with Bat fans. I don't want to hear any complaints from Bat fans, because if you have, for every one Batman thing, there's 3 good Bat things. So I don't need any complaining.
Yeah, I always felt as a Batman fan, it's like whenever a version of Batman came by that I didn't like, it's like waiting for the next bus. You're like, well, then just let that one go, because there are another Batman right behind it. So if you don't like this version, you're not going to have to wait very long before they try a different version.
Yeah,
it's like
exactly.
Batman and Superman, they just want to make sure that they get different versions of them for every era.
Yep. Pretty much. Yeah, I'm interested to see us get a younger Superman. But I think if they're doing Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, where she's much older, and they're starting off with a young Clark movie, I think we do also have the potential to have the actual dynamic I would like to see between them that we haven't, which is Kara being the older one, because she is, and Clark being the one that's like, hey, teach me about Krypton, because, you know, that would just be really cool. So I would love to see more of that, because even on the Supergirl show, where Tyler Hoechlin, however you say his name, played Superman, which I love him as Superman, and I love their dynamic on that show too. It still wasn't what I would like to see. So,
what would you like to see from a Superman?
I mean, Superman in general. I mean, I love Tyler Hoechlin's Superman. I really did. I think he has a perfect mix of charming and things like that, while also, you know, going into "Grr, I'm Superman, not to beat your ass" mode. I think he plays the part very well. I haven't watched Superman and Lois, but that's for reasons that have nothing to do with the cast. But yeah, so I liked him. I like Brandon Routh as him, and I love seeing him play him again on Crisis on Infinite Earths on the Arrowverse.
Because he was the Atom, right?
He was the Atom, and then he actually played Superman again on Crisis. So that was a ton of fun. I think he could easily do, you know, another Superman role in the future if we ever need an older one for like Kingdom Come. I've seen people like fan cast him for that. That would be perfect. I would say cast him as that. If you guys are fine with having multiple Batman, you can be fine with multiple Supermen.
It's not hard. It's just whatever's a good story, we'll clam onto that.
Cool beans. Well, I'm glad we had the DC talk. I don't get to do that usually when I interview, because we're so focused on the books, which is exciting.
Yes.
But yeah, this was a ton of fun. And sorry, Marvel, you have enough spotlight. You're not getting spotlight today. DC gets the spotlight. No one else. DC and Star Noir.
we've been talking about Marvel for the last 10 years. I think, at least
Right?
at least for a year, can we talk about DC?
That's true. You should make a T-shirt. I bet people would buy it.
about championing DC. Talk about
Yeah.
DC.
Let's
Yeah.
talk about DC. Yeah, exactly.
Let's talk about it because it's just been a really tumultuous decade for live action DC characters, and these characters are phenomenal characters in these comic books.
Yeah.
There's so much great stories and so much lore that these characters have, and I feel like we've only seen like a fraction of it on the big screen.
Yeah, no, 100%, but it's coming. That's the good news. I really do think it's coming. It's not going to be perfect from the start, but I think it's going to just only grow into itself, which is great. And I'm not even worried about competing with Marvel because it doesn't need to compete. It just needs to be great in its own right.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I 100% agree with that.
Awesome.
And I also 100% agree that you should definitely check out Star Noir.
I love that transition.
Circle back. It's a great noir murder mystery. Don't miss out on it. It's a great book.
Yes, check out Star Noir because, as you can tell, we have a huge DC fan over here, heavily inspired by Batman, heavily inspired by noir stuff. So obviously, you know that this is going to be phenomenal because if he was inspired by Marvel, it wouldn't be. No, I'm kidding.
No, but especially if you're a fan of like the noir side of Batman, you're definitely gonna like Star Noir. Like it definitely has the similar vibe to it. I was reading this book by Alan Moore, and he talked about the way he designs cities, and he's always like, you have to kind of figure out what the vibe of the city, like what does Gotham feel like. It's not just decrepit buildings. It's standing in the rain waiting for a cab that should have been here 5 minutes ago, as some creepy guy in the shadows is starting to walk towards you, and that's the tone that he kind of creates for Gotham City. So it's I really do something similar with this 1940s Los Angeles, where there are places where they're very beautiful to look at and very populated, but very quickly you could turn the corner and be in a dark street by yourself.
Yeah. No, you do such a great job. I mean, the pages we showed earlier alone, they creep the heck out of me in the best way possible. So they are all so well done. As he said, guys, Tony James here. Be sure to check out Star Noir, Indiegogo, and follow him on Twitter and stuff. I'll put those links below. So if you want to hear more DC rants, clearly he wants to talk DC. Talk to him about it. We need to talk about DC more. And again, check out Star Noir. Make sure you like, share, subscribe to the channel here. All that cheesy but super important stuff. It helps us grow and helps support more indie creators like Tony here. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time in the nerdy neighborhood.